All right, what's good, YouTube? Well, what a weekend have we had so far, man. Happy Father's Day. Those of you dads out there, muscle car dads, hope you're out there enjoying the weekend as much as I am this weekend, man. Today, it's not even Father's Day yet. It's Saturday. It's right now as I'm making this, it's 5:38 in the p.m. I've had a crazy full day. If it looks like I've gotten some sun since you last saw me on video, I've gotten a lot of sun lately, Mike by the sun in the sun. And let me just tell you guys, today has just been a really great day, man. I made a decision that I really just want to milk this weekend because we got hot, sunny weather in the 90s the whole weekend. And going to the beach tomorrow. Today, just did a bunch of things, mostly with the kids. Sports practice, and our town had a festival, and went to the pool and just enjoying stuff, man. Plus I watched the Hellcat and took care of the yard. So it's been a great day, and I'm gonna go chill out, have a little dinner, go out on the patio, break out with a little Miami Vice, watch some good old 80s Vice episodes, and I don't know, man, maybe have a Bud Light Lime or something classy like that. So anyway, man, hope you guys are enjoying it, man. I certainly am. So today's video, focusing on Father's Day, man, and I realize that does not apply to everybody. It's not relevant to everybody, even if we all had fathers one way or another, right? And certainly only a small portion of us are actually fathers out there. I have been a father for 8 years now. I've got 2 beautiful kids, the best thing that ever happened to me in my life for sure. And why am I talking about this? How is that relevant to this channel, which focuses mostly on cars? Well, it's actually really relevant, guys. I want to tell you a little story, short story. Don't worry, this ain't going to be another 30-minute video like the story about when I bought my last Green Challenger. Back about 5-6 years ago, my family and I lived up in New Jersey. And our routine was one that involved a lot of commuting, my routine anyway. I lived in New Jersey, Central Jersey, and worked in Manhattan. And so I had a commute, didn't have to go to the city every day, but when I did, man, it was exhausting and it got expensive. Any of you who have that life, you know how expensive and exhausting it can be. And put that just on top of everything else that comes with Jersey life, right? When you own a house in New Jersey, you're paying property taxes that are outlandish. You live in a floodplain, you're paying for flood insurance. You are paying, high taxes in every possible way, high fees, and the cost of living in general is just really expensive, man. And that's why New York City salaries can be pretty high. You have got a lot you've got to pay for. But anyway, I had realized that my wife and I had realized some years ago that it would be really great if we could start a family and raise a family in North Carolina. I have a brother who lives in Wake Forest, and we got to visit him, and I realized that man, that would be really something. If I could have what I do, my salary in New York, and move to a place like North Carolina. I mean, that would just be comfortable, And so after some time, that opportunity presented itself, and I went for it and worked for it and got it, And there was only one problem, though. 5 years ago, the housing market in my part of New Jersey, the kind of house that we had, really was not in full swing, okay? Which is to say that we couldn't sell our house. And so we realized, man, if we're going to kind of follow this dream of moving to North Carolina, starting a whole new life down there, we're going to have to become landlords or something. It wasn't an easy decision. There were a lot of things to have to figure out. And so we looked at what this job was and how worth it was going to be, and it was going to be in Charlotte, North Carolina. I had been to Charlotte before, but many years before, really didn't know anything about Charlotte. And that is 3 some hours away from my brother in Wake Forest. And so we realized that, man, to do this move was a huge decision, and it was a gamble. It was going to be a gamble because we didn't know anybody in Charlotte, didn't know Charlotte. I didn't know, if I was going to like the new boss I was going to be working for. We were going to become landlords for the first time. I mean, how is that going to work, when you're, hundreds and hundreds of miles away and, dealing with property managers and all this other stuff, man, right? Just like a giant headache. But we looked at the opportunity, man, and we said, you know what, man, we got to do it. I mean, this is our shot. I mean, this is the life we want. And so we went for it, and we rolled that dice. And I found myself, should I say, in Charlotte, getting started out, new job, new city, new family, man. I mean, my kids were, 4 and 2.5 at the time. And instinctually, being that I didn't know anybody, being that there were hobbies and things like that I had up in New Jersey that I couldn't bring down with me and do, I was really starting with a very clean slate. And again, kind of living in an unnerved fashion because I was just rolling the dice, man, just not sure if this is going to work out. Is this the right decision or not? But we rolled that dice, and my instinct made me really, really dig deep spiritually into my role as a father. And part of that for me was to kind of dip my toe back into the emotion of being a kid. And me thinking, what were the things that made family life for me as a kid growing up special? And, what stood out? And for me, when I was growing up as a kid, I'm the baby of 5 kids. We had the dog, and we had the goat. Not a goat with horns, but a goat with a V8 engine in it. Pontiac GTO, 68 goat in Verduro green. The goat was a member of the family. That car, which my dad wound up having for almost 30 years, it wasn't Dad's car, it wasn't the green car, it wasn't the car, it was the GOAT, the GTO. That car had its own identity. And again, it felt like it was a part of the family, just like, the dog was, right? Just like cousins or whatever. You may not be able to understand what I'm saying. Yeah, I love that supercharger whine, man. It never gets old, dude. Never gets old. 5 weeks at this car now. It still makes me grin every time I do it. And so when I was down in Charlotte, I needed to get a new car. I had this little Mazda Protege 5, 2.0 liter, something like that, man. I think it had like 180 horsepower, if that. And the thing really was, it was like 11 years old, and I needed a new car. And so part of my new identity, so to speak, my renewed role as a father, as being the dad, right? That's what it was all about, being the dad. I realized could include a muscle car. And so I wound up getting my first Challenger. Now, it was an SXT Plus. It was a very nice car. But as you've heard me say on this channel before, and you've heard others say, the V6 is a nice car, but it's not a muscle car. Not to say that they're not fast, not to say you can't supercharge them and do all sorts of stuff to them, but a muscle car is a V8. I mean, it's just part of the DNA, right? You're not in a muscle car unless you're feeling that V8 lumbar. You know what I'm talking about, guys? That little rumble, you feel it in the lower back in your seat, man. You feel bum, bum, bum. You feel it. I feel it right now, man, sitting here at this red light, Without that, it's not a muscle car, man. You need that. And before long, I wound up trading in that SXT for my first V8 Challenger, which was an RT Plus, which was a really, really great car, and I really enjoyed it. Anyway, so all this was about me being the dad, and having that muscle car really, really hit home for me, guys. It really tapped into something in my DNA, tapped into my experience, my memories as a kid. And what was really, really special about it is that I realized, man, that in some ways I'm reliving some of those old memories, except now I'm in the driver's seat of the car. I'm not in the back seat, you know, sliding from one side to the next of that big old bench seat in the back when my dad would be going around the corners and stuff. You know, now I'm the one driving. I'm the dad. And that was 5 years ago, man, when I started that, when I made that connection. And I think about it every Father's Day. I think about my dad, of course, every Father's Day. But that really holds a lot of weight with me, man. A lot of sentimental weight. And it's part of my identity. That's not to say the car is part of my identity. That's not what I mean. But it's part of the package that makes being a dad so enjoyable for me. You know? It's nice just to be, you know, sometimes, man, you take a lot of comfort in those things that are familiar to you, and those things that that we enjoyed in the past. That's why, you know, I made a little joke before about Miami Vice. I ain't kidding you, man. You know, I mean, I'm definitely doing it. You know, and I do that, man. It brings back all sorts of memories for me, man. You know, I mean, the '80s was a great time for me as a kid growing up. You know, it's exciting. And it's great to tap into that. And so the moral of the story here, boys and girls, it's got to do with Father's Day. And it's a wonderful thing for me, having started this journey 5 years ago, have 5 Challengers now in a row in 5 years, which is ridiculous. But here we are with the granddaddy of them all, man, my Hellcat, the keeper. And me realizing that nostalgia, that connection to the past has not faded one bit. I still feel it. I still enjoy it. I still get a kick, man, out of just, you know, doing that a little bit. Starting up the car, man. Cold start, waking everybody up. That low V8 rumble, man. Part of the family. You may not understand what I'm talking about if you didn't grow up like that. But those of you who did know exactly what I'm talking about. You know how special it is. So this video is for all the dads out there. We got a tough job. Now, mom's got a tough job. But dad's got a tough job too. It's different than mom's. And you know, with all the worry, the responsibility that comes with life, with raising a family, we're trying to do the right thing, making decisions, difficult decisions, rolling the dice, taking a big gamble, like moving to where the work is and where the lifestyle is that you want for you and your family. Those things are hard. And we got to dip in to those things that give us enjoyment and pure joy. Just innocent joy. Those things sometimes lead us to the past. They remind us of the past. There's a connection to the past. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's something fresh that you always wanted to do that you never done before. It's all good either way. So dads, put your family first. Make sure you're taking care of business. Don't be one of these deadbeats who takes care of yourself and meets your own needs before your family's. It's not a man that does that. That's a child that does that. You take care of your family first, and then you get your toys. Take care of your family. Do what you got to do to the best of your ability, even though we know it's going to be imperfect, and that's all right. But also, number 2, do make sure you make time for yourself. Do make sure that your life is not all just worry and paying bills and worrying about this thing, that thing, what's going to happen, how are you going to afford this, da-da-da-da-da. You know, all the normal things that wind up weighing heavily on a father's mind. Make sure that you create some time for yourself, create some opportunities for yourself. Whether that's a car, whether that's a little time to yourself every morning, whether it's starting a YouTube channel and just goofing around. Whatever the hell it is. Do it. Enjoy it. You got one life here on this earth like this, man. You got a TCB, take care of business. But you also got to live that life and enjoy it. So, all right, guys. Happy Father's Day, guys. Until next time.